Hello and welcome back to the Campus Ministry Show. I'm Father Stephen Logue, host of the show and chaplain of Lancaster Catholic High School. And since we're in that season, it's that time of year, so to speak, we're going to talk a little bit about stress as we move into midterms and how we should approach it. So I want to approach it from two angles. One, the more temporal of the world, and one, the more spiritual. First, the temporal. The healthiest, the best angle I've ever heard for thinking about our human health is to think of it in terms of three dimensions: our physical health, our spiritual health, and our psychological health. All of these things are distinct but interrelated and interdependent. And if one is suffering, it's going to affect the others. And if one is suffering and we're trying to focus on it, we need to make sure the others are doing well at the same time. So we need to make sure, even in the midst of midterms, even in the midst of all the stress, that we're still saying our prayers. This isn't just the chaplain here reminding you, oh, you need to pray, you need to pray. No, we need that spiritual nourishment, we need that spiritual renewal, or everything else will suffer. At the same time, we need to make sure we're still getting exercise. We're getting outside, we're breathing some fresh air, we're doing something that'll take some physical energy from us. And we also need to make sure that we're doing well psychologically. And if any of those areas start to suffer, then our performance, our ability to take tests well is going to suffer along with it. So, a couple things to keep in mind, and I'm sure you've heard a lot of these before. Make sure you're getting enough sleep. This isn't just, oh, we want you to be physically healthy down the road and not to suffer as you go into the new semester. This is, if you want to do well in these exams, you need to make sure you're getting sleep, because otherwise your exam performance is going to suffer. At the same time, you need to find ways to relax, to de-stress, to restore yourself psychologically and physically in healthy ways. And doom scrolling is not the answer. Doom scrolling does not resolve anything going on. It doesn't bring you calmness. It doesn't rejuvenate you. You need to do something. Now, maybe that is watching a half hour of TV or of a show or something where you can sit down and relax a little bit. But it's probably also going outside. It's probably also cleaning your room a little bit, doing something different, breaking up the mental energy that you're expending on your exams and preparation and papers and all of that stuff. It's also being in contact with friends, finding those people that you can rely on when you're feeling that stress build up. Having someone that you can call or talk to and say, hey, can we hang out for a couple minutes? Can we talk for a couple minutes? Can we go do something tonight just to relax, to de-stress a little bit? Things that you know are going to leave you recharged and not things that aren't going to drain you. On the same token, you need to know those people that you can turn to in a crisis. So if you're feeling that pressure build up and you're trying to turn to friends, maybe they're busy with their own exams, maybe your family's distracted with something, come talk to a counselor, come talk to us in campus ministry, talk to a teacher or a faculty member that you know and trust that can help center you a little bit, help calm you down, be ready to take the exams in a clear mind. So all of those good practical advice, keep that in mind. Have good study habits where you're not just throwing it all to the side and counting on God to save you, but you're also not leaning completely on yourself because you can't do it on your own. So give it your best, but make sure to take advantage of all those good resources that you have to keep yourself physically, psychologically, and spiritually healthy during this period of exams. Now, I said two bits of advice, two angles of insight. That was the temporal, the practical, things that we should understand about ourselves regardless of our theological beliefs. But on the other side is the theological. And whenever we get around to exams, I always think of a couple of different saints in particular. One, St. Joseph of Cupertino. He's the patron saint of test takers, so it's obvious to think of him during exam times. But also St. John Vianney and St. Andre Bessette, who we just celebrated his feast day. And these three always come to mind because they were terrible at school. They did abysmally. They were not smart. They were not that well endowed or equipped to go into exams. John Vianney had to take Latin like a dozen times. He was being tutored by other seminarians. At one point, one of his tutors got so frustrated because John Vianney couldn't get it that he slapped him in frustration. Joseph Cupertino just knew he was terrible at exams and he really had to lean on God. But he was sort of like, God, if you want me to be a priest, you have to help me through these exams because I can't do it on my own. And even St. Andre Bessette, no one thought he would amount to anything. Every job he tried, he failed at. He just wasn't that good. He wasn't that strong. He wasn't that smart. And he had to, the religious order that he joined had to be convinced to let him in. And all these guys, God did amazing things with them. And so I think we need to remember that our worth, our value, even though your job right now is being a student and doing the best that you can, our value doesn't come from earthly success. Our value isn't measured by the grades that we get. Those are good things, and we should give our all to get the best grade, and when we do well, we should celebrate that and legitimately recognize the hard work that we put in. But that's not all that we're worth. And so when we do struggle, when we do give it our all and we still come up shorter than we would have liked, recognize that God loves you and has a plan for you, even in the midst of all those struggles. And sometimes, and I think oftentimes, he wants to choose the weak and the foolish of the world, the people that the world doesn't regard as that important or that good, to shame those who the world values. And it's specifically those people who struggle in our world who he often wants to do amazing things with. So we have to trust in him, we have to rely on him. And remember especially the advice from Mother Teresa. She said, God doesn't call us to be successful, but to be faithful. So what does that mean in the context of exams? That means that if I do no work at all, I don't put in any effort, and I get a B and I'm like, huzzah, I passed, that's not good. That's worse than the guy who put in all the work and the effort, but barely got a D. But he at least passed. And he did his best. So whether we're getting D's, whether we're getting A's, whatever the result is, what's more important than that letter or that number is, did we do our best? Were we faithful to our calling to be the best students that we can be, the best disciples of Christ that we can be? That's what really matters in the end. That's what's going to be more impactful, not just on our spiritual lives and our destination for eternity, but even our destination in this life. That's going to have the biggest impact. So one last note for all of us who aren't in the midst of exams, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a parent or just a family member of our students, or just stumbled upon this video and are dealing with stress in your own life in your own way. First of all, especially for those who are close to our students in this time where they're taking exams, be considerate of those who are in a stressful period of their lives. And this goes for everybody. Like, we need to recognize that, hey, this time of year or this moment or this situation is stressful for this person, and I need to be aware and understanding of them maybe not being as respectful or as attentive or as on top of things as I would like them to be, and recognize that they're going through an intense period of stress. But overall, a lot of this advice, while I geared it specifically towards students and exams, it applies to all parts of our lives. We always need to be on top of these different elements of our health and our well-being. We always need to be using the resources at our disposal and giving our best to whatever we have, and recognizing that at the end of the day, yes, we can't do anything without God's help, but God doesn't want to do it all himself. He wants to do it with our effort. So we give him our best, and then we leave it in his hands. And that should be an incredible source of peace and relief, that at the end of the day, if I've done my best, I can hand it over to the author of the universe and say, this is what I've got, I've given you my all today, and I trust that with you, it'll be enough. So keep all of that in mind. Keep yourselves physically, spiritually, psychologically healthy this finals. Lean on the people that you trust who can help you out, and trust that, as our quote was, our theme a couple of years ago, pray, hope, but don't worry. Leave it in God's hands. So you're in my prayers as you enter into this period of exams, and thanks for watching. God bless.